Okay, so thank you for agreeing to participate in this interview. I'm hoping to better understand motivations as they relate to career advancement for current higher education practitioners who enroll in higher education leadership PhD programs. Your participation in this interview is completely voluntary, and of course you can terminate the interview at any time for any reason. This interview will be video and audio recorded so that I will be able to transcribe your responses and check them for accuracy. However, your identity and the identity of your current institution will remain anonymous, and all interview results will be reported in aggregate. Do you have any questions before we get started?
No, I think I'm okay.
Great. All right. So my first question for you is to please describe your current position, the number of hours per week that you work, and also the size and classification of your current institution, like public versus private, 2-year versus 4-year, etc.
Okay. So currently I work at a 2-year community college. It's one of the technical colleges in the state of South Carolina. Our average enrollment is somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000 in a typical fall or spring semester. And my role at the college is to administer counseling and disability services programs. And so my work is focused on, I'm the director of our center for those programs. And so I offer, as a licensed counselor, I'm a member of the counseling team alongside of other team members who offer personal counseling and referrals to resources and that sort of thing for students when they present to us with different needs. But then we also are the Office for Students with Disabilities, so we are ensuring compliance with ADA Section 504 and all the other related legislation that governs how we assist students with disabilities in the college environment. And I think I answered everything. Did I miss anything?
Number of hours per week that you work?
Thank you. 40 hours per week, full-time.
All right, great. So please describe the number of years you have been employed in the higher education setting and any other positions you've held in the higher education setting.
Okay. So I'll say I've worked in the higher education setting in some capacity since 2001. But that started for me when I was in graduate school for my master's degree, and I worked with the Residence Life Office. I was a graduate hall director, a residence hall director. So that was the start of what I view as my career in higher education, even though it was not a full-time position with the university. It was a graduate assistantship, but it felt very much like full-time.
I'll bet.
Yeah. It was a live-on position, so it certainly was time-consuming and enjoyable just at the same time. Postmasters, I have worked in, and that was, of course, at a 4-year university. My postmasters work has been since 2005, so about 11 years, a little over 11 years in the 2-year community college environment. When I first finished my master's degree, my first postmaster's position was it was a counselor for a Title III grant, which was focused, the grant was a federally funded grant focused on serving students who were first-generation college students within that community college environment. So I was doing a lot of work with students in developmental courses in the community college environment and supporting students who were first generation to make sure that their pathway could be as smooth as possible. And then I have worked, when I left that position to come to my current institution, I was initially hired as an admissions counselor. And so I worked admitting students into the college, working with individual students on decisions regarding career and program of study and maneuvering the admissions process to get them into their desired curriculum. I did that for just a couple of years and then was afforded the opportunity to move in the direction of my current position, helping establish a counseling center and integrating services where they need to be integrated. And then was the opportunity to lead that initiative was one that I quickly accepted. So
that's great. Awesome. What are the career benefits that you anticipate after you have earned your PhD?
I do think it's going to open opportunities up that I may believe that I'm qualified for today, but when someone is hiring for those positions, they want the terminal degree. And so I think it's just going to be sort of a maybe a validation to potential employers, or even my current employer. Okay, she's achieved that level academically, and she's demonstrated that she is someone who is proficient in the field, has that PhD. So my hope would be that as opportunities arise at my current institution, I might be able to move more swiftly into advanced positions. But if that doesn't happen in my current institution and I should make a decision to explore outside opportunities, I think it's going to make me more marketable for those positions.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah. Are there any career benefits that you feel are specific to the PhD title in your particular field?
I do think that it broadens the opportunities within my field. Right now, I have had the opportunity to teach in my institution. So there are some courses that I'm qualified because we are a 2-year institution. But for courses that are bachelor's level courses, if you don't have at least 18 credit hours in that field or closely related field, you can't teach. And certainly in the 4-year environment, those opportunities are even more limited with a master's degree. And so I think that just that is an example. If I ever said, hey, I really would like to consider the professorate, if I wanted to do that, I have that opportunity, whereas that's not something that I previously could have chosen. I don't necessarily anticipate that that's the path I'll take, but I do believe that it's going to open up other opportunities beyond that, just within moving from my current position maybe to a dean level position or higher, and even being more diverse in what my experience will be by being able to be an administrator over a more diverse set of programs within student affairs even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Great. In what ways would you say that the career benefits of earning a PhD have been communicated to you?
In what ways?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think some of that is my own observation and just seeing the experiences of other people. In some cases, maybe my people that mentor me a little bit, sort of informal mentorship that happens when you're in a professional world. Or just observing others advancing within their careers upon completion of their PhD coursework. Within my doctoral program, I would say the example I gave about the professorate is probably something my understanding has grown about that since being in the program, because it's discussed in the context of class conversations and even just understanding why we have to have a certain number of credit hours in a cognate, for example, that helps broaden your understanding. If you asking, well, why do I have to take so many credit hours in this area? Some of the literature that I think we've been asked to read about, particularly in some of the early residency courses that we have to take within the program, there's a series of 4 that focus on leadership and so forth. And I know that certain faculty sort of infuse articles and research and information about those types of topics. And I think it's designed to help continue to motivate us and help us understand the world's not necessarily your oyster, but maybe there's a little bit more of an oyster than there was before. Mm-hmm. And what does that look like for you? And really thinking about and deliberately planning choices with regard to what classes to choose and that sort of thing around what your end goal is with the program. And if you can't examine what all the options are, you can't very well come up with an end goal. And so that has been communicated through the content of courses, but also through observation and just conversations over time.
That makes sense. Have there been specific people who have communicated the career benefits of earning a PhD to you? And if so, who were they?
I would say probably more than anything, it's folks within my profession who have taken an interest in my career, have maybe seen potential for me to move into certain types of positions, whether it be similar to what I'm doing now or different, and encouraging and suggesting that there might be a confidence that I could handle that sort of leadership role or administrative role but certain ones you can't pursue without the terminal degree, and you need to be able to demonstrate that that's complete. Also, when I shared with the people that were important to me that I was considering pursuing the opportunity early on, there was a lot of encouragement. Well, that's a great idea. I think this would support your career goals that we've talked about in this way or that way. So those conversations, probably more than anything. I've had great supportive faculty within the program, my mentor within our program, but I'll have to say that that's not been the conversation we've really had, and possibly because I've not brought it up. Maybe it wasn't, maybe I didn't need additional reassurance. I don't know why it hasn't come up, but more than anything, it's my colleagues or mentors within the profession.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes sense. How have any anticipated career benefits contributed to your motivation to initiate and continue the PhD process?
I think when I first started my program, I still had a lot of growth to experience within my current role, because I had, just to give an idea, I'm trying to think, I received the opportunity to enter the director position that I'm in right now. November of 2012 was when I started, and I started my PhD program the summer of 2013. So I was so early in that role. I felt like I was equipped and ready, but I know that I've grown and experienced tremendous professional growth as a result of that role, and continue to grow some. But I think as I've been in this position longer, I've recognized that there is a point where I'm going to want to do something different, or do something more. And I don't mean that this is less than, but what I mean by that is I am interested in having a role that is more holistically responsible for some area that touches the whole college, maybe, if that makes sense. I guess our area does touch the whole college, but just more of a top level administrator. And as I continue to consider what's fulfilling to me in my work, the types of opportunities that come when I'm able to suggest new ideas or lead people to a shared vision and accomplishing a task that they shared a vision on, that kind of stuff is really invigorating and rewarding to me. And I do that a good bit in the work I do now. I think there are more opportunities as I advance to do more of that. Yeah. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. What are the timelines you anticipate for obtaining any of the above mentioned career benefits for yourself?
Well, if everything goes as planned, I will graduate fall of next year. Mm-hmm. So unless there's an opportunity that comes up that once I've achieved all but dissertation, which hopefully will come in the next couple of months, unless there are opportunities that are for candidates who are close to completion of dissertation and PhD work, I would anticipate at least a year from now before those would come my way. And I guess it sort of depends on if it's internal, an opportunity that will come up internally versus something that I'm pursuing externally as a deliberate move career-wise. But I will say my institution has been supportive financially of my endeavor with the PhD program, and we do sign some agreements to remain on board for a certain period of time afterwards, and so that's an influence as well. But I have made it clear to the folks that I think it's important for them to hear that my commitment is to stay here as long as it is professionally appropriate for me to do so. And so my hope is that that's been heard loud and clear, and that those people in the decision-making situation can acknowledge and recognize when I'm right for a position to be given that opportunity, so I can stay here and really benefit the institution that has so graciously supported me through the program.
Yeah, absolutely. How important for you were the anticipated career benefits in your decision to pursue a PhD in higher education leadership?
Truthfully, when I decided to start the program, it was more of a personal goal than anything, just that drive to accomplish and achieve that level, and feeling that desire to expand my own knowledge and kind of be able to say I did that. Mm-hmm. Just a personal sense of accomplishment that comes with that. As I have been in the program over time, and I guess maybe sort of parallel to that has been my own professional growth in my current leadership role, I have grown to desire that career benefit a little bit more than maybe I did at the very beginning. And perhaps that comes a little bit with seeing that it's possible, and being, particularly now, being very close to the conclusion of my program, and recognizing that that's not a foregone conclusion, but it's not too far off either. And so looking forward to what that might bring, and not knowing what the future holds, just waiting to see what comes my way.
Yeah, awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to share about anticipated career benefits for practitioners in the higher education environments who are enrolled in higher education leadership PhD programs?
Truthfully, I think that the experiences that I've had in the program that are going to benefit me, whether I technically advance in my career or not, whether I go up the pay band or increase in terms of responsibility or job title, it has already been a benefit to me. And I believe, therefore, it's also been a benefit to the students I serve and the institution where I serve. And that's rewarding in and of itself. But I do recognize that there are other opportunities too, and just wanting to wait and see what sort of comes my way and what opportunities present. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.